Hello, trumpet players. This is going to be a little bit different from a lot of my other videos because I normally talk about specific topics. And this time I just want to talk to you about, um, I guess, more philosophical stuff. And I guess I'm always philosophical anyway, but covering a broader range, maybe not broader, maybe more fundamental. Um, that said, I'm at a gig again. I say again, you know, one thing I haven't told you is I make a lot more videos than what I post. A lot of times I'll finish the video and go, I don't like that. So, I even did a video about that and didn't post it. How ironic is that? Anyway, so yes, I'm in Conroe today. I'm playing with a brass quintet and the Texas Brass. I've been working with the Texas Brass since the early 90s, maybe late 80s. For a short few years, I guess 3 or 4 years, I was the other trumpet player. And, but I never, in my whole time living in Houston, I've always been hired by the Texas Brass for various shows, and this today would be one of them. I'm at the Crichton Theater in Conroe, which is the opposite side of Houston from where I live. So, which is why I'm making this video, because as you know, I always give myself far more time to get there than I need. Anyway, so what am I talking about? Now, let me tell you, give you a little bit of background about why I've been thinking about this. You know, I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube about taking a cold shower, right? I like YouTube, and I like watching all these weird things. And one of the motivational things that people are doing today is they're taking cold showers. This is a thing. Look it up. If you haven't heard of this before, look it up. It's a thing. People are taking cold showers to turn their life around. There's even a TED Talk. Maybe I can look for it and link to it. Where, over here, over there. I'll put a link to it if I can find it. A TED Talk about how this guy went from being an employee to being an entrepreneur and the first step he took was to start taking cold showers. And like I said, there's lots of these videos on YouTube. So I thought, okay, well, this sounds like the kind of thing I would do. So I started taking cold showers. Tomorrow will be my 30th day. And the rules I'm setting for myself are only cold showers for the first 30 days. No hot showers at all. And after tomorrow, which is the 30 day, the only way I'm going to allow myself to have a hot shower is if I had already taken a cold shower that day. So I'm looking at doing a full year of cold showers. Now, I can tell you this already, I probably won't need any hot showers because this is, and that's my point right now. Everyone's on the videos on these cold shower videos talking about how this changed their life, and it didn't do squat for me. It didn't change my life at all. So why am I still doing it? Well, it's like I said, I like doing stuff like this, and that's what I want to talk to you about, right? People are, I try to park when I do this stuff. I try to park where nobody's gonna be, but it turns out there's people here. So if I look weird, I'm not a genuine YouTuber, right? I hope I never become that. I hope I don't mind making money from YouTube if that ever happens. I haven't, I haven't monetized my channel yet. But I wouldn't mind doing that down the road. But I don't see myself as a quote unquote YouTube creator. I don't see it that way. I'm sharing, I guess that still makes me a YouTube creator, but to say that you are means you're part of this like culture, and I'm not part of that. So, I'm still a little self-conscious about people seeing me talk to myself in my car. Anyway, getting back to the subject, the cold shower thing did nothing for me. And I have a theory about that. I think it's because the people that it does something for are those people who are having trouble with motivation and willpower and stuff like that in their lives. And in fact, all of the videos that I watched on this subject, that's what they were struggling with. These were people who couldn't get their life going. They couldn't motivate themselves to do what they knew had to be done. And, if you look at who I am, I haven't had a day job since 1988, 89, somewhere around there. I've been telling people 88. I think it's 88. It might be 89. Maybe I quit in January. So I might be off by a few months, right? But basically, I haven't had a job in decades. And a lot of you think, wow, what a wonderful life. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not so wonderful, because it's all on you. There's a lot of people who would die to have my life, but those people who are so passionate about having a life like this where you don't have a boss, the reason why they want that is because their boss is asking them to do stuff that they aren't motivated to do. Well, the difference between having a boss and not having a boss and being successful, we're talking about being successful, right? The difference between having a boss and not having a boss basically comes down to this: you have to be self-motivated. And most people who hate working for a boss hate it because they don't like being prompted. Well, the reason they're prompted is because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about that stuff. I don't want to piss you guys off. Maybe you're one of those, right? But that's how I see it. I've seen so many people in my lifetime who ended up quitting their jobs, working for themselves, and what do they do all day? They sleep a lot, they eat a lot, they hang out a lot, but really the business that they thought they were going to create when they quit their job didn't happen. Now, what's this got to do with trumpet playing? Now, let's get to the point here. This doesn't just apply to life in general. It doesn't apply only to business, okay? Having the motivation to practice. And you know what? I was thinking about that on the way here. A lot of you already have the motivation, right? Or you wouldn't be watching this YouTube video. There's nothing entertaining about my channel. So if you're watching my stuff, it's because you probably want to be a better trumpet player. But there's certain things you're supposed to be doing. And a lot of you're really motivated, but you're not really motivated enough to do the right stuff, right? So a lot of you, and I know this as a fact, okay? I've been teaching trumpet students since 1980. I know this as a fact, okay? A lot of you are motivated because you enjoy the trumpet so much. The problem with being motivated by trumpet joy is that Most of what we have to do to be great trumpet players isn't fun. It doesn't tickle your joy bone, okay? Most of what we have to do to be great trumpet players requires the same kind of willpower that it does to hop in that cold shower. It's the same kind of willpower that gets me up out of bed in the morning and gets started with my work day first thing in the morning. Do you know what? A lot of people say, I wish I had your life, right? I had a neighbor one time tell me that I lived a luxurious life, and I'm like way beneath the poverty line. How can I have a luxurious life? She says, you have the luxury of time. What? The luxury of time. I have, for this whole adult life that I've lived, worked longer hours than most people who have jobs. Right? What luxury of time are you talking about? Well, I mentioned that to her, and she said, well, it's your choice to do that stuff. Yeah, that's what willpower is. You decide you're going to do something and you do it. Yes, it's my choice. That still doesn't make it a luxury, right? Luxury of time. Yes, it's my choice. What happens if I don't make that choice? Well, let me see. I don't buy food. I don't pay the rent, the mortgage, I mean. The money doesn't flow. If I don't do, and you know what? The amount of work that I invest per amount of money that comes back, I would have been better off not being a trumpet player. When you look at the whole, you can look at my individual lessons, you can say, oh, you make a lot of money. Well, because I charge so much and because I'm so particular about who I teach and stuff like that, I don't teach a lot of students. I don't teach as many so I have friends, I don't teach, for that matter, I don't teach as many as I used to. I used to have, the most number of students I ever had was 77, and that was stupid. You as a student are not getting my best if I'm teaching that many students. And that's the biggest reason why I don't teach as many students, and that is also the same reason why I charge what I do. Okay? Because you're getting more of my attention. Anyway, so the point is that it takes a great deal of willpower to overcome your natural trumpet ability. Now, some of you, maybe you have enough natural ability to just, maybe you even make All-State on your natural ability. Maybe you don't need any more than that. Well, and I'm not talking to you, am I? Okay, some of you have natural ability. All I have to say to you who have natural ability is just watch out, right? Because if you ever want to do something over and beyond, over and above what you are natural at, you'll never have a clue because you've never struggled. A lot of people know this, right? If you've never struggled to play the horn, then when you do step out of what's natural for you, you're not going to know what to do. You won't know how to tap into that willpower because you never had to before. And let me put it this way too. What are you going to do when that enthusiasm is gone? Right? That natural, because if it's the joy, the trumpet joy that carries you through. If it's the trumpet joy that carries you through, what are you going to do when it's not so fun anymore? If you want to keep doing this. And part of what I'm talking about is life lessons too, right? but I try to keep the life lessons focused on the trumpet. So I think now is the time to, I'm speaking primarily to high school trumpet players right now, because this is the time most of you, solo contest is over, right? This is the time to take a look at where you're at on the horn, what your desires are, what your purpose is. You know, I've always said that all state starts now. You don't wait until the music comes out. A lot of people wait until the music comes out, right? I just got a text saying that the leader is here. He's a great trumpet player too, Daryl Bear. I think he's got a YouTube channel. Maybe I'll find it and link to it. Anyway, this is the time of year where you want to get your thoughts organized, right? You want to get your thoughts organized, and you know what? If that means hopping in a cold shower, let me say this too. What is that cold shower thing all about? If we only ever do what's natural, then we will never reach our full potential. What makes us different from animals is that we have this ability to go beyond what's natural. We have an ability to turn what's natural off and do something better. Okay? And I know we live in a time right now when people celebrate what's natural. As a Christian, I don't do that. Christians don't celebrate natural. Okay? Christians know that there's something bigger and better than what's natural. Okay? But this isn't, don't misunderstand me. What I'm talking about now isn't just a Christian thing. It's a human thing. We're capable of more. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. There are these things called psychological triggers. Now, an innocuous version of this would be, you walk into a room that has smells from your grandmother's house. The smells remind you of your grandmother, and you have thoughts of your grandmother because of smells that were in the room. Okay? Those smells triggered the memory of your grandmother. Well, in a similar way, we have triggers built into us that determine our behavior. Like, for example, someone can say something that, because of the way we were raised, really offends us. And our natural response would be to become angry, you see what I'm saying? To maybe even fight. Okay? That's a natural trigger. That's a natural response to external stimuli, right? And the way that works in music is we have a tendency in music to associate music with fun, associate it with joy, associate music with happiness, and that's why so many of you are motivated is by this happiness. The problem is the happiness you have that comes from these natural triggers is nothing compared to the happiness you would have, the musical joy you would have if you practiced right. Or for some of you, if you practiced at all. Okay? There are certain things you should be practicing. There are certain ways you should be practicing. And I promise you 90% of you are not doing this. 90% of you are just doing what comes natural. Whatever those automatic triggers are based on your current happiness. I had a lesson a long time ago with a student whose father would always come to the lesson. By the way, I like that. I prefer when the students' parents come to the lesson. I know that the students don't like that so much, right? The students may not like that, but I like it, and I think the parents like it too. And the reason I think it's so important, I believe that it helps to keep some of the misunderstandings at bay and stuff like that, right? It's like the adults serve as sort of like a translator for the children, from adult language to children language. Not that I can't work with younger students, I'm not saying that. I just think there's a lot more that gets done when the parents are there. Anyway, so I was trying to explain to him, and back in those days, I would talk about the what is it? The climbing up in the Franklin Mountains. I used to climb in the Franklin Mountains all the time. And the example I would give about this happiness thing we're talking about is sometimes the happiness has to happen later. You're climbing up the mountain, up the mountain, up the mountain, up the mountain, then you get to the top, and it's like the happiness you get at the top is so much better than any happiness you would have ever possibly had if you hadn't climbed to the top, right? And it's a great analogy because of the climbing, right? Well, this parent, Dr. Richard Zimmerman, right? He said in the lesson, he says, oh, what you're trying to describe has a name. It's called deferred gratification. So I've been teaching since then and before that, actually, but now I know what it's called. Deferred gratification. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a human instead of an animal, is we can put those things off. We can put the stuff that makes us happy off for a later date so that we have more, right? We want more of that. We want a lot more of that. That's what makes being human so awesome. Okay? And otherwise, without that, and you know what? There are people like that. That everything that happens is just natural. They only exist on the natural level. And, you know, you almost have to feel sorry for them. Right? Families fall apart that way. Relationships don't last. And a lot of stuff is just not so good because of this natural stuff. It's not, it's not natural to be a good person. Let that sink in. So that's why we're talking about this. I believe the way this works, I believe that the best way to make what I'm talking about work is that you have to first, before you do anything else, you have to determine for yourself, why are you playing the trumpet? I want to ask you to ask yourself that question now. Why are you playing the trumpet? What is your objective? What is your purpose for playing the trumpet? And when you find that purpose, I guess find is the wrong word. When you clarify that purpose, that should be the basis for moving towards what your goals are. If your purpose is to be the best, not such a good purpose, in my opinion. Okay, now, there's different personalities and stuff like that, and maybe your personality is just a really, really competitive personality, and your purpose in everything in your life is just to be competitive. Um, that's unfortunate because I've actually had a lot of people like that in my life that I kicked their butts. Right? They live for the competition, but they don't always win, and to me, that's always been kind of sad, right? I don't care about competition. I tell people I win the competitions by not competing, right? Not caring about the competition. That's how I win. Because instead of because what happens, whatever we shoot for, we always fall short of. So if our eye is on being better than the person who's first, then we will always fall short of first. Okay? Not always. I shouldn't say always. That's an exaggeration. Sometimes you might be out in front, sometimes not. But what really does put you out front is when you're not the abilities of other people don't set your pace. Okay? That's how I see it. But anyway, getting back to the purpose thing. Whatever your purpose is, should be the driving force, not your happiness. So, like, for example, if your purpose for playing trumpet is to make you happy, okay, so well, I can live with that. But let's make it a greater degree of happiness. You see what I'm saying? Let's make it a far greater degree of happiness. Instead of just being satisfied. You know what? I have this thing I do. Imagine, so this is how I see people who just play trumpet because it makes them happy. The lowest level of that, right, is those trumpets with the reed inside of it, squeak toys, right? And you put your lips on it and just blow. So like little toddlers will pick those up and go, right? It's like, hey, mommy, look, I made a noise, right? That's how I see people who just play because it makes them happy. Go get yourself a squeak toy, right? Because the happiness you can have when you practice correctly and reach otherwise unattainable goals, nothing that you get naturally will ever match that. Nothing. I hope this is all making sense, right? And the cold shower thing, so if you're one of those people who just lives deep, deep, deep in the comfort zone, the cold shower thing might actually be good for you. Tell yourself, I'm going to do cold shower only for a week. And see if that transforms your life like these people say. It didn't transform my life, but like I said, I think it didn't transform my life because I'm already there. I've been living that for 3 decades already, more than 3 decades. I'm already there. I've already worked through all of that. I don't have to be comfortable. Comfort is like, when it comes to achieving stuff, achieving objectives, comfort is one of your biggest enemies. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, I'm creeping up on 30 minutes here, and it's almost time for me to go in there. So be thinking about that. Be thinking about that. This is the time, if you're in high school, this is the time to get your thoughts together. Think about why it is that you're going to play trumpet for the next year. What are you trying to accomplish? You know what I like, for me, What I accomplish when I play, my whole objective is to speak to people and share God's love through my music. That's what drives me. And not just through my music, through my service as well. I serve people through my music and through my actions in the music industry. Excuse me. So I have a heart of service. I have a desire to communicate God's love through my music. I think I've mentioned that before in previous video. So for me, that is the driving force. And so when I get up in the morning and I do the stuff that I have to do, it's because I want to give the people that rely on me or want to hear me, hear with the music that I have, I want to give them my best. I want to give them my best. And that's what drives me and has been driving me for since 30 years now. So think about that. Where are you now? If you want to share what your thoughts are about your purpose in music, share them below in the comments. And if you feel like you don't have anything like that, don't panic, right? This is just a thinking exercise, okay? It's not a prerequisite to playing the horn. I didn't mean to put it that way. That's not what I'm saying. It's not a prerequisite. It doesn't come first before playing the trumpet. But when you do spend time to get your thoughts straight, the rest of what you do on the trumpet falls into place. Okay? So, and if you need to take a cold shower to make that happen, go take a cold shower. All right? Well, that's what I've got for you today. I better get in there. This performance doesn't have a rehearsal, but we're having a talk through, and that's in about 5 minutes. All right? So I'll see you on the next video. God bless you guys, and thank you very much for watching for 30 minutes.